They said it would never happen. They said these three egos could never share the same ring without the entire wrestling world imploding. Well, guess what? WWE just proved every single doubter wrong, and if you think you know what happened at WrestleMania 41, you're about to get your mind completely blown. This wasn't just a match, this was a collision of three wrestling gods that rewrote history in the most controversial way possible. Roman Reigns, the so-called tribal chief who's been shoving his boring Superman routine down our throats for years. Centimeter Punk, the straight-edge savior who thinks walking away for a decade gives him the right to waltz back and demand main event spots. And Seth Rollins, Monday Night Messiah himself, desperately clinging to relevance while these two legends overshadow his every move. But here's what's got the entire wrestling community in an uproar. The finish to this match has fans threatening to cancel their WWE subscriptions, and I'm about to show you exactly why this ending has everyone from casual viewers to wrestling purists absolutely furious. The tension was palpable from the moment these three stepped through those ropes at Lincoln Financial Field. You could cut the animosity with a knife. Roman strutted to the ring like he owned the place, that insufferable smirk plastered across his face, acting like this was just another Tuesday night for the supposed head of the table. The Philadelphia crowd was already boiling with hatred, and we were barely 5 minutes into this epic encounter. Then Centimeter Punk's music hit, and that pop was deafening. 10 years away from WWE, and this man still commands a crowd like he never left. But here's where things got interesting. Punk looked different, hungrier, more vicious than we'd ever seen him. You could see it in his eyes. This wasn't the same guy who walked away frustrated in 2014. This was a man on a mission. And Seth Rollins, he came out last, and you could see the pressure written all over his face. Here's a guy who's been carrying Monday Night Raw for years, playing second fiddle to part-time superstars and returning legends. This was his chance to prove he belongs in the conversation with these two icons, and brother, he came to fight. The opening sequence alone had the entire wrestling world talking. Roman immediately went for his signature Superman punch on Punk, but Centimeter Punk ducked and caught him with a picture-perfect scoop slam that had the crowd on their feet. Rollins tried to capitalize with a superkick to Punk's skull, but Punk rolled out of the way, causing Seth to nail Roman instead. What happened next will go down as one of the most brutal opening exchanges in WrestleMania history. All three men just started throwing bombs at each other. No technical wrestling, no feeling out process, just pure, unadulterated violence that had even the commentary team speechless. Quick question for you wrestling fanatics, which of these three do you think threw the hardest punch in that opening sequence? Drop your answer in the comments because the slow motion replays were absolutely insane. Roman tried to establish his dominance early, but here's what caught everyone off guard. Both Punk and Rollins seemed to have formed an unspoken alliance against the tribal chief. Every time Roman gained momentum, one of them would break it up. When Roman set up for the spear on Punk, Rollins came flying off the top rope with a knee trembler that nearly decapitated the so-called champion. But this temporary partnership didn't last long. The moment Roman rolled out of the ring, Punk and Rollins turned on each other like rabid animals. These two have years of history, dating back to Punk's original WWE run, and all that pent-up aggression exploded in the middle of that ring. Rollins caught Punk with a devastating superkick that echoed through the entire stadium, but Punk absorbed it like it was nothing and responded with his signature scoop slam followed by the springboard clothesline that sent Rollins crashing to the outside. Now here's where this match took a turn that no one saw coming. Roman Reigns, who had been playing possum on the outside, suddenly speared both men through the barricade simultaneously. The crowd erupted, debris was flying everywhere, and all three competitors were laid out in the wreckage of what used to be the security barrier. The referee started his count, and for a moment, it looked like we might have a triple count-out at the grandest stage of them all. But these warriors weren't going down that easy. Roman was first to his feet, dragging Punk back into the ring and going for the early cover, but Punk kicked out at 2 with such authority that he nearly launched Roman across the ring. What followed was 15 minutes of the most intense back-and-forth action you'll ever witness. Every time one man seemed to gain control, the other two would find a way to turn the tables. Roman hit his Superman punch on Rollins, only for Punk to catch him with the GTS out of nowhere. But before Punk could make the cover, Rollins recovered and hit the stomp on Centimeter Punk. The near falls were coming fast and furious, and the Philadelphia crowd was losing their collective minds. Each 2 count brought the audience to their feet, convinced they were witnessing a new champion being crowned. Here's a trivia question that's been driving fans crazy. How many times did Roman attempt the spear in this match before finally connecting? The answer might surprise you, so make sure you're paying attention to every detail. But the real controversy started around the 20-minute mark. Roman had Punk locked in a submission hold that looked suspiciously like a sleeper, but the referee was in perfect position and could clearly see that Punk's shoulders weren't down. Yet somehow, he started counting what appeared to be a pin attempt. The confusion in the arena was palpable. Fans were screaming, pointing out the obvious mistake, but the match continued. This would later become a major talking point among wrestling analysts who claimed the referee's positioning was deliberately orchestrated to create controversy. Seth Rollins capitalized on the chaos, breaking up whatever the referee thought he was counting and immediately transitioning into his own offensive sequence. His combination of knee strikes and superkicks had both opponents reeling, and for the first time in the match, it looked like the Monday Night Messiah might actually pull off the victory. Rollins scaled the top rope, clearly setting up for his devastating frog splash, but Roman caught him midair with the most brutal spear you'll ever see. The sound of the impact was sickening, and Rollins crumpled to the mat like he'd been hit by a freight train. But just as Roman was about to make the cover, Centimeter Punk appeared out of nowhere with a steel chair. Where did he get it? When did he grab it? The cameras never showed him retrieving any weapon, yet there he was, chair in hand, with murder in his eyes. The chair shots that followed were absolutely vicious. Punk caught Roman across the back, then swung for Seth's head, but Rollins rolled out of the way just in time. The chair connected with the top rope, bounced back, and caught Punk right in the face. Blood started pouring from Punk's forehead, and the crimson mask transformed him into something almost inhuman. He started laughing, actually laughing, as blood streamed down his face, and that image will haunt wrestling fans forever. Now here's where things get really interesting, and this is the part that has everyone absolutely furious. Roman, who had been down and seemingly out of the match, suddenly kicked up like nothing had happened. No selling the chair shot, no signs of the punishment he'd endured for nearly 30 minutes, he just popped up fresh as a daisy. The crowd's reaction was immediate and brutal. Boos rained down from every corner of Lincoln Financial Field. Signs were being held up calling out the obvious favoritism, and you could hear fans chanting bullshit so loudly it nearly drowned out the commentary. Roman set up for his spear on the blooded Centimeter Punk, but at the last second, Punk sidestepped and Roman speared the referee instead. The official went down hard, and suddenly we had no authority figure in the ring with three of the most dangerous men in professional wrestling. What happened next was absolute mayhem. With no referee to enforce the rules, all three men grabbed whatever weapons they could find. Steel chairs, the ring steps, even the announce table got involved in this all-out war. Seth Rollins put Roman through the Spanish announce table with a devastating powerbomb that had the entire structure collapse beneath them. Meanwhile, Centimeter Punk had retrieved a kendo stick from under the ring and was methodically dismantling everything in sight. But here's the moment that broke the internet. Centimeter Punk set up a table at ringside, climbed to the top rope, and attempted to put Seth Rollins through it with his patented elbow drop. But Roman appeared out of the wreckage and caught Punk midair with a spear that sent both men crashing through the table in an explosion of wood and flesh. The crowd was going absolutely insane. Debris was scattered everywhere. All three competitors were down and bleeding, and there was still no referee to count any potential pinfalls. A second referee came sprinting down the ramp, but before he could even slide into the ring, Centimeter Punk had recovered enough to catch him with a devastating kick that sent the backup official tumbling back down the entrance ramp. Drop a comment and let me know, was Centimeter Punk justified in taking out that second referee, or did he cross a line that even hardcore wrestling fans can't defend? Now we had complete anarchy. No rules, no referees, and three men who were willing to do anything to walk out of Philadelphia as the victor. Roman grabbed a microphone and started cutting a promo in the middle of the match, claiming he was still everyone's tribal chief and that neither Punk nor Rollins deserved to share the ring with him. But his arrogance cost him dearly. While Roman was running his mouth, Seth Rollins had recovered and positioned himself on the top turnbuckle. Roman turned around just in time to eat the most picture-perfect stomp in wrestling history. The impact was so violent that Roman's head bounced off the canvas like a basketball. Seth made the cover. A third referee had finally made it to the ring, and the count began. 1, 2, and Centimeter Punk broke it up at the last possible millisecond with a baseball slide dropkick that caught Rollins right in the skull. The final 10 minutes of this match were pure insanity. Each man hit their finishing move at least twice, but somehow, someway, their opponents kept finding the strength to kick out. The resilience on display was superhuman, and the crowd was emotionally exhausted from the constant near falls and false finishes. Centimeter Punk finally managed to lock in his Anaconda Vice on Roman Reigns, and for the first time in the entire match, it looked like the tribal chief might actually tap out. Roman's face was turning purple, his arms were flailing desperately, and the crowd was on their feet anticipating his submission. But Seth Rollins, showing incredible ring awareness, grabbed Roman's hand and placed it on the bottom rope, breaking the submission hold. The crowd erupted in boos, but technically, Rollins had made a legal save according to WWE's rules. This act of desperation sparked the final sequence that has the entire wrestling world in an uproar. All three men were on their feet, battered, bloodied, and running on pure adrenaline. They formed a triangle in the center of the ring, each man staring down his opponents with murder in their eyes. What happened next will be debated in wrestling forums for decades. All three men charged at each other simultaneously, and in the chaos that followed, Centimeter Punk managed to roll up Roman Reigns with a small package. The referee counted 1, 2, 3. Centimeter Punk had won. The crowd exploded, confetti fell from the ceiling, and it looked like we had our WrestleMania moment. But wait, the celebration was short-lived because another referee came running down, frantically waving his arms and arguing with the official who had made the count. Apparently, while Punk was pinning Roman, Seth Rollins had simultaneously pinned Centimeter Punk from behind. Both men's shoulders were down for the 3 count, creating the most controversial finish in WrestleMania history. The confusion that followed was absolutely unprecedented. Officials, referees, and even WWE executives came flooding down to the ring, trying to determine who the actual winner was. The crowd didn't know whether to cheer, boo, or just sit in stunned silence. After nearly 15 minutes of deliberation, WWE made the most shocking announcement in company history. Due to the controversial finish, all three men would be declared co-winners and would share the championship going forward. The reaction was immediate and brutal. Fans started throwing trash into the ring, social media exploded with outrage, and wrestling analysts called it the worst booking decision in WWE's modern era. But here's the kicker that has everyone absolutely furious. In the post-match celebration, Roman Reigns was clearly positioned in the center, holding the championship belt highest, while Punk and Rollins flanked him like secondary characters in their own victory. So tell me, Wrestling Zone family, do you think this controversial finish was brilliant storytelling that sets up months of compelling television, or was it a complete betrayal of everything wrestling fans hold sacred? The comment section is about to get heated, and I want to hear every single opinion. This match proved one thing beyond any doubt. When you put 3 legendary egos in the same ring with the biggest prize in sports entertainment on the line, you're guaranteed controversy, chaos, and a finish that will have people talking for years to come. Whether you loved it or hated it, WrestleMania 41's triple threat main event just rewrote the rulebook on how championship matches can end, and the wrestling world may never be the same again.